discipline, patience, and pressure. Jim Greendyk isn't just training horses, he is shaping champions. And in this episode with us, the pro reining coach breaks down what horses taught him about leadership, trust, and leveling up in life. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Forged Youth Legacy Within. And today I am sitting down with professional horse trainer, reining champ, Jim. Jim, we have known each other for, I feel like 15 or so years now. And I remember coming to the barn and watching you ride and also listening to the way that you would train back then and just knowing that you were different, seeing that you were different and a good teacher. So I love the fact that you've like blown up and you are now like pursuing and living your dream. It's so cool. Tell us a bit about you, what you do, and kind of where you are.
Well, hey, thanks for having me on. It's the greatest thing ever. That's a funny introduction because I think 15 years ago I didn't know shit, so I don't know what I was teaching. Maybe I'm not allowed to say that, but you know what? I always call it the way it is, and I look back and think, man, where was I 15 years ago? 15 years ago I was 25, and I thought I knew it all, and I thought I owned the world, and I was going to be God's gift to horse training, and I would say now horse training's been God's gift to me.
Oh, there we go.
Um, I'm so grateful, like I didn't ride a horse till I was 17. It
Mm,
seems like a pipe dream, but I was surrounded by good people. I was surrounded by people who allowed me to make mistakes. There's no way that you're going to get good at something without making mistakes. So find an area where you're comfortable and you are allowed to make as many mistakes as possible, as quickly as possible. And that's kind of how you learn.
yeah.
And so that's, I would say, what my journey's been from Fort McLeod, Alberta, from the very first time I walked into a professional barn and started as the stall cleaner at 17 years old and moved on to the Colt starter and then moved out after working 4 or almost 5 years for Gordon Sandy Hester in Fort McLeod. I moved out and I met a girl and ended up in Abbotsford, BC. And I drove around Aldergrove, Langley, Abbotsford with a saddle in the trunk of my car, like, hi, I ride horses, like we went to every single barn. Pauline and I, my wife now, 4 kids, and Pauline and I dated as in like I found barns. You want to go on a date tonight? And we're going to drive around to barns in Langley and Aldergrove on 16th Ave and see if anybody needs horses ridden tomorrow because I need cash, like that was really, really where I started.
Oh, I love that.
And then, yeah, by the time we met, I was 25, I guess married, had 1 or 2 kids maybe at the time.
Yeah.
I don't remember which, but Zarena's now 15 years old, so it's
Yeah.
crazy. And yeah, I mean, through the years, hey, I always joke and say I learn best from the mistakes made by the people who've taken my advice.
Jim.
Like over all the years, oh, this is a good way to train horses. Yeah, do this, do that, do that. And then I look at it and think, I don't know. That didn't work like I thought it was going to work. I maybe have to change that a little bit. That's not going as good as I thought. and and what I mean to say is that like through the whole journey, and now we live in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we own a place here downtown. Like not downtown, we're out on the edge of the desert, and it's beautiful here. But in a 10-mile radius here, the top horse trainers in the world, like
Mm,
100 of the top 200 reining trainers, 100 of the top 200 cow horse trainers. The Western discipline for horses in this neighborhood is the best of the best people in the world that live a mile or two from us here.
yeah.
And so I'm really grateful for that journey. I don't know how I got here. I mean, I guess I just was too stubborn to quit. And that's kind of my story is like I've had a lot of people over the years put their hand on my shoulder and say, hey, you know what? Relax. You're going to make it. It's no problem. You've got what it takes. Just let time do its thing because, like we were before we started recording, I said, time is a very fair but cruel judge. Like it doesn't have feelings. Like either you're going to be good enough in time, keep going, or you're going to keep going and you won't be good enough in time. But then you better enjoy the journey because you don't know.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many good things in there.
But that push of like, somebody to put their hand on your shoulder and say, hey, man, I see where you're at. Like, talk to me. I don't care if you're struggling. I'm not judging you. I found very seldom that somebody from the top is judging you down. The people who judge you are normally behind you or below you in where they've gone. The people above you are going, man, like, if you want it, man, just ask. Because like, I'll help you do it. Like, if you want to be here where I'm at doing what I'm doing, let's do it. You know.
Yeah.
Um, and I wish there were more people in my life. I wish there was someone who went out deliberately and said, hey, kid, you're fine, man. Like, you keep doing what you're doing. And some days it's going to be brutally hard, and some days it's going to be amazing. And you don't know how far you're going to go. You don't know how far you're going to get, but don't worry about getting there. Worry about stay the course, run the marathon, stick with it, show up every day, do the work.
Yeah. Okay. Like we got to start breaking this down because you're just like gold ball, gold ball, gold ball.
Sorry.
No, this is so good. One of the things that you just said is something that has never been said on this podcast before. And it was that the people in front of you aren't the ones that are judging you. It's the people below you. And that
Oh,
is
yeah.
100% correct because everybody who has quote unquote made it has already put in the time, put in the effort, been in the arena, failed a zillion times, gotten back up. And so they
Oh, yeah.
know what it takes. And the people who are judging you and looking at you are the ones who are like insecure and they want to stand on your back to get ahead of you. And so that in itself was like huge and something like I said, something that hasn't been put on here before. So how do as youth, like that's a really formative time in our life where we do care
Sure.
a lot about what other people think and what they're saying and all of that. How do we quiet that noise in order to like follow through and just like run with reckless abandon to where we want to go?
It's a great question. I would say there's two crazy things about time. Uh, you're either going to get there or you're not going to get
Hmm.
like, and that takes the pressure off of you somehow doing something that has to be this today and this level. I have to be here. Like, where do you have to be? Where do you have to be? Like, if you show up every day and just do the work, it pays off. It just does. There's no magic to that. But you have to realize that there's also no guarantee.
Hmm.
And so when I find for me, I don't know for anybody else, for me, when I say, there's no real guarantee that I'm going to get exactly to here, there's no real guarantee that I'm going to be exactly this. So I'm going to enjoy the journey and I'm going to put in maximum effort to improve myself day by day, but I'm going to let it fall out where it falls out.
Hmm.
You can't be someone else. You don't have their journey. There's no possible way. See, like you look out of your brain with your eyes and your senses and you see the world, and the guy standing 6 inches over from you sees that same tree from slightly different perspective. You cannot see them from exactly the same perspective. You stand there and you see it like this.
Yeah.
Okay. And that
Yeah.
same thing happens with life. Like that person, we were just having this discussion. I just did a handful of lessons this morning. It's hot here in Arizona now, so we start lessons at 6 a.m. So we're out there. My help starts at 4. The horses are fed. The arena's watered and worked, and by 5 o'clock, 5:30, we're starting to roll with work. And
Hmm.
I just had several lessons this morning, and the one gentleman is just starting into riding. He's a great young guy, and he was really sweating when he was finished. Do I ride that badly? Is it just that terrible? Like, he's had 3 lessons or 4 lessons here as a rider, and he's like loping around and doing little slide stops, and he's like, he's terrible. Like, oh man, I'm just so bad. I'm just so bad. And he's like drenched because he's like stress sweating that he's so terrible. And
Hmm.
there's 5 or 6 other people riding in the arena, and everybody's riding this morning, and my help, and we're riding. I'm riding one and training. You know how it is. Like the
Yeah.
arena's busy. We got stuff going on. I said, Frank, there is not a soul in that arena that thought, man, Frank is terrible. Like,
Hmm.
they all had their own head down. They were all looking at their own horse. They were all riding their own horse. unless you physically T-bone somebody with your horse in the arena, they've forgotten you're even there. You're on your own journey, dude. Like, unless it's going across the arena like this on its back legs, which at that point, we're not going to judge you. We're all just going to say a prayer for you and say, oh, hang on, God. You know, no one is judging you in your journey. How do you quiet that? The people that are judging you are behind you. It doesn't matter if you're 12 or 14 or 25. The people behind you are the ones talking about you, judging you because they wish that they had whatever magic, because they imagine that somehow you've had a leg up and it's easier for you and you're just naturally talented and all of these things. And they want to negate the hard work that you put in and all of the hours and the sacrifices and, all of that. Cause obviously it's easier for him because, he's just like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not the truth. You're working just as hard. You have your own head down. You have your own anxieties. You have your own fears. You have your own voices in your head. There's no doubt we all have those. And
Yeah.
I think when you realize that everyone is on a slightly different perspective, no matter what you do,
Mm-hmm.
then just run your own race, like do your own deal. Whatever happens to you is going to happen to you. And it's not fatalistic because you're not sitting back with your arms crossed waiting for it out there and doing it. You're showing up every morning and doing the work.
Yeah.
But I have that t-shirts and I don't know, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. You can't just make something out of nothing. What you have is what you have to work with and go and use the cards you have the best you can. They're different cards than everyone else that you look at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like how you said that um you can't like sit back and just wait for these things to happen. It's like, I find that a lot of us, whether it's youth athletes or even like us as adults, we dream about this outcome that we want. Um, and then we just waiting for the doors to open, or we're waiting for the opportunity to come, or we're waiting, and it's like, actually, no, like you have to be committed and disciplined and showing up and putting in the hours and the work and the energy and working really on those like what I call process goals in order to get to
Sure.
the outcome goal.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Winning should be a product of being good.
Mm,
Like if you focus on being good, then you start to win because you've become good at it.
yeah.
And how do you become good at something? Well, you do it badly for a while.
Oh, that's good.
I, like do it badly for a while. I would say I get a lot of calls, young people, girls and guys. How do I get into horse training? I really want to get into horse training. I really want to do the horse training. And I say, really simply, go and find someone that you get along with
Hmm.
and make sure that they'll allow you to make as many mistakes as quickly as possible. And if
Mm,
you have, and that's a learning environment. A good
yeah.
learning environment is where you can do it badly. And somebody says, well, hey, that wasn't great, but come here a sec. Let's change something. Let's try again. Let's do it again. Uh,
Yeah.
how are you going to get good at any of it? Go do it badly. I mean, doing is better than doing it well, because if you don't do it, you can't do it good or bad.
Yeah.
Um, you know, being afraid to fail is is a failure in itself. Like,
Hmm.
if you don't get going and you're afraid because you're afraid of failing or being afraid to fail and
Hmm.
so not doing it out of fear of failure is
Hmm.
a failure in itself. Like you're going to fail because you didn't start,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or go for it and you may fail anyway, but you also might be good at it.
Hmm.
Like go out.
Yeah.
I always say at the horse shows, go to the horse show, show your horse and fail. Like you're not going to be at the top. You're going to fail. That's part of it. Go home, work harder, and fail better next time.
Ooh, fail better next time.
Like
Yes.
I,
Yeah.
I
So
just
why do you think that we're so afraid to fail? Like what, where, why? Why is that such, like if you think about it and you think, I mean, you got four kids, right? Like when our kids are learning how to walk, they fall. I think they're like the average number is like 69 times a day that they fall and they don't even think
yeah
about it. They just get back up and laugh and like keep going, right? And then all of a
yeah
sudden, somewhere along the way, we start to be afraid to fall. And like, where does that come? Like, why?
I think it depends on the environment you grow up in. You know, I think if you get in trouble for making mistakes, that point in your life where you start to make mistakes and you get in trouble for this from your parents or from your teacher or your friends start to mock you about it or
Mhm.
you know, I think that starts earlier than we imagine.
Yeah.
You start to hold yourself like, oh, I'll make sure I avoid this uncomfortable situation. I'll avoid that one over there and this one over here. And you essentially begin to narrow it down to where do I get the most social recognition or where do I get the most social gratification? You know,
Mhm.
how does my life get easier? Well, I just try not to make too many mistakes because people laugh at me when I do.
Mhm.
I think it's a lot environments. It's a lot the parents. It's a lot how much pressure we put on our kids and how quickly we push them down, or how quickly we push on them. You're gonna be good at this. You know how much money I've spent for you to go to all these lessons.
Yes.
I mean, that's where it starts to come in is when you one, maybe live vicariously through your kids, or two, you really pressure them because, man, like, I want you to be successful. Well, if you want them to have success more than they want to have success for themselves, uh, you know,
Hmm.
so I think it's environment. I think,
Yeah.
you have to really be careful with kids. Let them make mistakes. Let them,
Mm.
even the other day I was talking to Zarana, my oldest, and she was having a girlfriend over here to sleep over the Friday night. And the neighbor guy here, young guy that works with us and helps us out, and he caddies professionally for the one of the private golf courses here in Scottsdale down the road. Super nice guy, and his girlfriend's a nurse in town, and they're here, they're like family friends of ours. And it was his birthday. He's turning 24, and he's going to have a crayfish boil, like 30 pounds of Louisiana crayfish live here,
Hmm.
potatoes, Cajun spices, artichokes, and onions, and corn on the cob, and everything in the pot like this, you know?
Yum.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And Lane and his fiance who live here and work for us, our assistants, they're great friends. Lane's 28, so Evan and Katie are back and forth here. So Serena says, "Oh man, I want to go up there with my girlfriend when Friday night we're going to go up there and go hang out at Evan's." And my wife Raver said, "Oh, I no, no, I don't. I'm not comfortable you guys doing that." Fair enough. 15-year-old kids going to hang out with a bunch of 20-year-olds over there. And, who knows? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
I saw that moment, and my response to her was, let's rework this. We
Mm.
didn't say no because you've ever given us an opportunity to mistrust you. She's the greatest kid ever. She's hardworking. She's mature
Yeah.
beyond her years. She's a great kid. She's won lots of reining stuff. She trains horses. She's very committed. I said, the reason your mom jumped up and said no is because we've never been 40 and had teenage girls that wanted to go hang out at the neighbors, and that seems weird.
Yes.
I
Totally. Totally.
said, it's not that you've ever given us any reason to distrust you. I said, it's not that you're going to go over there and suddenly make a mistake or like, who
Yeah.
cares? I
Yeah.
said, I can promise you that the initial response of like, oh boy, I don't know, like, like that, it's
Hmm.
because I've never had a 15-year-old daughter who's a grown woman and wants to go to the neighbors and hang out for the night. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that's a big difference is to make sure that you're really honest with your kids, to make sure you're really open about why am I worried about this? Why do I have fears? Why do I have anxieties? Why do I sometimes put them on you? And really, they shouldn't be yours and mine at the same time. I think you have to be more open about that kind of stuff with kids.
Oh yeah. 100%. I agree with that. Yeah. And it's interesting. Like I work with these youth athletes. They come through, a 90-day program with me where we really work on mental training
Sure.
and a part of it is that the parents have to just let these kids take responsibility for it and the kids have to set the appointments. The kids have to like
Yeah.
do all the homework, like whatever, and the parents have to
Awesome.
detach and walk away. And they parents get to be involved at 2 points. One is halfway through and the last one is at the end.
Cool. That's
And
awesome.
right? And then halfway through, we bring them in and we go, okay, where was your athlete before? Why did they end up in the program? And it's usually, struggling with performing under pressure, anxiety, self-doubt, like
Sure.
all of these things.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
what improvements have we seen? And then we give the kids an opportunity to say, Mom and Dad, this is what is working, and this is what I feel really supported by you when you do this. And Mom and Dad, here are some things that really bother me and that like do more harm than good. And then being able to like facilitate that conversation
Yeah.
and exactly
That's
what you
amazing.
just said is that all of us parents, we really are doing all this stuff for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Even if you have multiple kids and they've all even been in the same sport, it doesn't matter. It's the first time with that kid because everybody's unique.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
Yeah.
like you said, being able to own the fact that we as parents, it's our first time and we're navigating this too, and being
Yeah.
able to check in with our kids and go, what's working and what's not working when it comes to me and how I'm supporting you. Yeah. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a
It's
hard
that's
thing for
amazing because
parents.
yeah, I think that's huge. I think that's the
Yeah.
thing that I see, and that's the thing that I, noticed growing up myself. Like, you know, a year into my horse training career, I was going to go down to the local riding club to go show one of my boss's horses. I've been a year in horses, and she says, "Oh, if you want to take that young horse down to the riding club on Saturday afternoon, we're going to go show. We'll just get him out, go around." You know,
Yeah.
this is Alberta. I mean, you can liken that to Langley Riders or Mission Horse Club or Delta Riding Club. Whatever the local ones in BC.
Yeah.
And I was stoked. I mean, this is like a huge thing. She's going to trust me to take a horse down there and go ride it. How fun is that? And my
Yeah.
dad said, "Oh, we don't do that. That's not our family. If you're going to work for her, you can do that. But, if you start going down the horse show and road, I don't know if you even need to come home here on Saturday night."
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I don't think he really thought I was going to get in trouble or do anything on Saturday. But looking back, I thought, wow, like what in the world?
Yes.
Like, I'm going to go to the local horse show on Saturday afternoon, and then I don't have a place to live when I get home if I do this.
Yeah.
Now, I'm grateful. I probably always had this quiet mental toughness, and I'm very grateful for that because I remember I never yelled, I never got wound up. I said, "Well, I guess I'll have to make a decision."
Mm-hmm.
I went on Saturday to the riding club. I came home and life went on as normal. And I
Mm-hmm.
think he realized it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And now, 23 years later, 22 years later, when we were buying a place here in Scottsdale, he said, boy, I hope it goes good for you. And he's always nervous. He's always scared. He's always finds the negative. He's very
Yeah.
strong like that. And I hope it goes good. I hope this. I hope that. I hope whatever else. But like my biggest question is like, I mean, do you know if there's space for your mom and I to park the RV?
Yes.
Listen, aren't you glad I stuck with the horse training? Because I don't think the way you were going, you were going to have a place in Scottsdale to park your RV.
Oh, that's true. Oh man.
So, you have to, and I think as a kid, as a young athlete, you have to realize on the other side that your parents probably aren't doing this because you're bad. They're probably not doing this because you're terrible. They're probably not doing this because you're not putting, especially if you're putting the effort in and you really want to do it.
Mhm.
If it's your thing and you want to do it, your parents are just afraid that you're going to fail and be disappointed. Your parents are afraid that this is going to break their control over the family or that somehow you're going to start to make decisions on your own and you've been their kid and they've brought you up and they've raised you and fed you and kept you alive all this distance and now they're just like trying to figure out how to let go and let you be what they weren't because
Mhm.
we're all different. Even if they played the same sport, you play it differently than your dad plays it. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
You're going to play you might even play the same position in hockey as your dad, and you're
Mhm.
going to play it different because you're a different person. You have a different set of skills. You excel in something a little different, or even you excel in the same thing, but you do it in a different style. Like there's so many variables, and parents struggle with that. So they don't do it because you're bad. They do it because they don't know. what the future is beyond that, and they actually care about you, you know? And so if you can realize it from that perspective as a kid and just try to stay even keel and go through it, I think as a young person, that's something to remember. That very seldom are they doing it because they hate you
Yeah.
or they think that you're terrible. I mean, most of the time it's your parents' internal reaction, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So when it comes to mental toughness, resilience, grit, like, and horses, equine sports, what have been maybe like the top two tools that you have found that have really helped you?
That's heavy. That's great. I mean, it's amazing. The top two things, I think the one thing that gets me right off the top is that you don't always have to win. You
Mm,
know, I mean, there are times when you can just get off the horse and untack it and put it away and come back tomorrow. You don't have to win. And this is maybe horse specific, but I don't think it is. I think it's every sport. I think when you're trying to learn a new skill or you're trying to conquer a new position or you're trying to get to that next level, like you don't have to keep at it today until you make it to that next level. Like some days you just have to go, I always say to my students when we go to horse shows, you're riding like this is the very last time you're ever going to horse show. Like you're so tight. It's like, this is my retirement run and I have to make it perfect because, like, oh, I said, if you're going to show for the next 10 years or if you're going to play this game for the next 5 years, 7, 8 years,
yeah.
what does the next shift matter? What does the next horse show really matter? Like, go out there, ride your horse, go through it, learn something, go home, do better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that concept of training horses every day, like you have to end on this note or you have to finish this or you always have to win the argument with that horse is not correct
Mm-hmm.
because frustration begins where knowledge ends. So most of the time when you're trying to ride longer and ride harder and push harder and try again and try again and try again, it's because you've run out of knowledge. So now you've come into this insanity place where you're like, I'm going to keep doing what's not working. I'm just going to do it harder until I get it.
Hey there. Quick pause to say thank you. If you're listening right now, you're already a part of something powerful. We're here to help young athletes and their families build grit, resilience, and purpose, and your support makes that possible. Did you know that over half of podcast listeners never hit follow? That one click actually helps us grow, get bigger, and reach more people who need to hear this. So if you're enjoying this episode, please hit follow or subscribe. It's free, it takes a second, and it really does mean the world to us. Now, back to the show. Do. And then it's just like you're exhausted, and then you're running off of exhaustion and frustration
Yeah.
and all of
Yeah.
these things, and you're getting worse in that moment because of all those things, not better.
Yeah.
And then you leave feeling totally deflated and defeated. And right. And so I
Yeah.
feel like what you're suggesting too, with being able to just like call it and walk away, is giving you time to like breathe, bring back yourself to a neutral place, get grounded, and then yeah, get curious about how can I do this differently. It's giving yourself space to do that.
Yeah. I think that was one of the biggest things for me because I would run myself in the ground. Like somehow I was going to find some magic thing today that was going to suddenly make me a famous horse trainer if I just kept riding harder, you know, like
Yeah.
I we always joke and say the $1 million riders in our industry didn't get overweight because they rode that hard.
That's
Those guys figured out how to quit and go have a cookie more often than I do.
I love it.
And
Uh,
I guess the other thing that I would say, the second, because we never actually
yeah.
got there, that the second thing is that like it comes back to that failure thing. Like I always say now, I know what doesn't work because I've tried it.
Mm,
So like try it. How do you stay mentally tough? Well, stay curious. I never met something I couldn't learn. I met a lot of things I didn't want to learn. And I've still have things in my life I have no desire to learn. But if I wanted to learn it, I never met something I couldn't learn. But I was
mm,
willing to say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to work on that again tomorrow. Or I was willing to say, well, that doesn't work. At least we know
mm.
what doesn't work. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
And I think those two things have always been like, well, yeah, shit anyway. My clinics, I always chuckle and I say, guess what? I know what doesn't work because I've tried it.
What do you find is maybe one of the top mental blocks that your students bring besides failure? Because we have tapped on that.
Failure, like, yeah, we've talked about failure, and I'm afraid that I'm not going to be good enough.
Hmm.
Um, that's probably one of the biggest ones for sure. I think the other one is probably similar, but it's a little different in that they're like, do you think I can do it? You know, like a validation thing. Like they'll keep going
Okay.
if I keep telling them, "Oh yeah, no, you're great, you're awesome." I had that today. This guy's sweating and working on it, and he's like, "But I'm not that bad, right?" Like I'm a. I said,
Mhm.
told him straight away. Like, I mean, he's
Yeah.
25, he's not 12, but I would say the same thing. Like, you're terrible, but who cares? Like,
Yeah.
it's it, it's not a problem unless you don't fix it.
Mm.
Think about that for a minute. Like, it's not going to be a problem unless we don't fix it. So don't
Hmm.
worry about it because we're going to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that, yeah, okay, they're afraid to fail. They're afraid to work this hard and then go to the horse show and fail. They're afraid to be bad in front of people, all of those kind of failures.
Yeah.
But then there's also this like validation thing of like, do you think I'm going to get good enough? Like, do you think I'm going to be good? Do you think I'm going to ever make it? Do you think I'm ever I don't know how far you're going to go. You don't know how far you're going to go. Let's just enjoy the process. Let's have a really good time. If you make it to the end of your hockey career, you had a blast. You had so much fun. You didn't hate it every day that you went to the rink. You didn't hate it. Like you start to hate it until you get to a certain point. You're like, well, if I make the NHL, then I'm going to start loving hockey.
Yeah.
You might not.
Yeah.
You might hate it all the way to that, and you might get drafted and spend 2 years in the NHL and think this isn't for me. I'm out. Like this happens a lot.
Yeah.
So enjoy the process, like have fun with it. Don't worry about where, if you go too fast down the correct road, you can still have a wreck.
Oh, Jim. Like there's so many freaking bumper stickers that can be made out of today's.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I think about that. Like, if you go down the wrong road, for sure, if you get mentally stressed, if you start going down the wrong road, I mean, that's why your end of life episode, if you just travel consistently and correctly down the right road, you'll get there.
yeah.
But if you go too fast down the right road, you still end up in the ditch,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Consistency.
Yeah.
That is such a key word. And I heard this, I forget who said it, but it was something along the lines of like, success is boring
Yes, it is.
because
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to do the same thing over and over
Yeah.
and over. And then the things that you end up giving up in order to do the boring consistent, right? Like you don't
Yeah.
have the social life, you don't have the all of those things. You don't eat all the treats. You have because you're
Yeah.
committed to the process and your staying consistency pays off. And that's a hard thing.
Oh, yeah. Must be nice to be a famous athlete. You know, must be nice. Boy, it must be nice to be you. Well, yeah, it is, but not a soul knows what it took to do it. It must be nice to live in Scottsdale and work half a day and go dirt bike in the afternoon. Like, yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Trust me, it is. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, 20 hours a day for 23 years,
Yeah.
over and over and over and over and over. And it, so exactly the other case in point, I had a young girl come in March for a week. She wanted to come as a working student. She came in March from Florida. She hung out. We had a great time. It was a great week. She, good young lady. We planned for this. Her dad buys her a motor home. They moved back in here the end of June, like 3 weeks ago. She moves in here. She brings a horse. She gets a horse in the stall. My help, Lane, my assistant, is giving her lessons. It's 107 out there. So it's like
Oof.
42 degrees Celsius. And he's sitting in the chair out there giving her a lesson, like last horse of the morning as we finish up by lunchtime to beat the heat. And he's out there for free. helping this young girl with the horse that she brought and teaching her some of my stuff and how we do it. And she lasted 2.5 weeks and said, I don't know. I thought, this reining thing's not for me. I don't know. It's just not really that much fun.
Hmm.
And I thought exactly because we didn't put her on Instagram. We didn't give her like the best horse in the yard to run. She didn't get to do the fun things. Actually, I don't get to do the fun things very often. I have to do all the other stuff so that when I need the horse to do the fun things at the horse show, it still wants to do the fun things. See, it's the same with the horse. If I run
Yeah.
and stop every day, if I spin every day, if I do the reining stuff every day, all the time, every day, push and push and push, by the time you go to the horse show, that horse says, I don't really like to do this that much. That's not fun. So I don't get to do the fun things every day with the training. I have to train that horse with my mentality in mind and with the horse's mentality in mind. Like if we
Yeah.
go to the horse show and he doesn't like to do it, we'll all know about this.
Yes. And I think that that is where like horse sports are so different because it isn't
Yes.
just about your mentality and your physical skill and yes, obviously that's such a huge part of it. But then there's this whole other beast, literally,
Oh,
that
yeah.
you have to get into physical shape, build the horse's mental toughness,
Oh, yeah.
right? It's,
Yep.
yeah.
Imagine if you kicked the soccer ball in between here and the net, it decided to do something else. Like
Yes.
you can kick that thing the best. You can train all day long, and when you get to the thing, it gets kind of stage fright. And when you kick it, it goes left over here and goes in the bushes. And you say, well, "What in the world? Like, why?" Well,
Yeah.
you should have kicked it softer. You should have played a little bit less with it. Should have broke it into the game situation a little easier. Maybe should have played every other time. Like these are things that I have to do with the horse to build it mentally and physically into a competitive show horse that I can depend on. But like, if I go to the middle there and go, "Yeehaw, let's go do it," it's like a bank account. They say I have to put money in the bank with those horses so that
Hmm.
one day when I really want to take a paycheck at the big horse show, I can make a pretty big withdrawal. And the horse is like, well, whew, that was a lot, but I think we're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put that. Yeah. Well,
And I think that's the same with kids. I mean,
yeah.
it's the same for everybody. If your coach is drawing on you all the time, you get burned out. It's this balance of you've drafted a number one draft pick, but then the fan base says you have to play him more until he starts to not play good, and then the fan base tells you shouldn't have played him as much. Like, I, what's the right answer? The right answer is you and a conversation with your coach. It's you being open about how you feel. It's you being totally genuine about what it is and not being afraid of, oh dear, if I say this, I'm not going to get that, or I won't get this opportunity, or I'm going to like, it's hard to cut through all that noise to really say, this is what I need for me to be the best. And trust me, I'm going to give you everything, but this is what I can do. That's a very, very hard thing as far as mental toughness in an athlete.
I agree. And I love that you brought that up. It's like giving, because that's something else that I see with the athletes who come through the program is that when they come in, they are very meek, I think is a good word for it. Like they don't understand that in order to be the elite and to play at that level and to be at that level, they actually have to have agency in their own life. They have to know how to
Yes,
advocate for themselves and speak on their behalf. Their parent shouldn't be going to talk to the coach for the athlete. The athlete
yes,
should be talking to the coach. And parents,
yeah,
you need to hear this if you're listening. If your kid's
yeah,
like bothered by the freaking coach, it is not your responsibility to go talk to the coach. It is your responsibility to give your athlete the tools so that they can go and talk to the coach.
absolutely.
But it's interesting too, I find, because this new kind of younger generation, they struggle with communication. And
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, we can blame it on phones, we can blame it on like whatever, but at the end of the day, they struggle standing up for themselves. And so being able to have an environment where they are learning how to do that is vital.
absolutely. You know what? I come back. We haven't talked at all about that, but I come back to being grateful to my parents for homeschooling.
Me too.
Okay. Like I was, and it's not the right fit for everyone. I don't go preach on it. I'm not gonna say everybody needs to go homeschool. We homeschool our kids. It's the right fit for us because they grow up with the professionals that are here in the barn. They grow up with our customers. They grow up with the
Mhm.
horse show family. We go to horse shows. We never have to ask if we can go to a horse show. We just go.
Mhm.
And I love it. But I think the biggest thing that did for me was I could volunteer at the vet clinic. I could work at this feedlot. I started at 13 and 14 to be able to go out and have those conversations. See, for me, I was good in school. I got good grades. I always got picked in the top two or three when we were picking teams for sports. I won the public speaking contest 3 years in a row, like grade 4, 5, and 6. And then in grade 7, they told me that I couldn't win it because someone else had to. So I came second, writing a speech the night before on a topic I didn't care at all about. And I just wrote something and, wow, whatever, I'll just go. I can't win anyway. And I came second.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in grade 7 was when my parents pulled me out through high school. And I was very mad about it the first 6 weeks because I was relatively popular. I had friends. I didn't struggle in school. And I thought homeschool was like for the weird kids, you know? And
Mhm.
it's not. 6 weeks, I realized I could do the school in the morning. And then the other half of the day, I could chase after things I was really interested in. And it opened up a crazy world to me.
Yeah.
But on top of that, the thing the school system does is it says the grade below you is the silly young kids, and the grade above you is the scary old kids.
Mm.
And this is the grade that you're allowed to invite to your birthday party. This is the grade that you're allowed to play at recess with, barring, a few
Yeah.
here and there.
Yeah.
And I have a classic example because in grade 4, I invited all the boys to my birthday, and I had one extra kid from grade 3 that we used to play parking lot hockey with. And, I lived in Norwich, Ontario at the time. And we used to play ball hockey in the parking lot at recess. And Dave here, he was a grade younger than us, but he was super talented. So we always invited him along and we played with him. So it made perfect sense in my mind. I gave him the invite. And I remember my mom saying, why did you invite him? And he's like from the grade lower. Like, how's that going to go?
Mhm.
He plays with the whole, I didn't see the grade thing. It didn't make sense to me. Why was this a thing? And then it became kind of like, oh yeah, I see how this sort of works. But then
Mhm.
homeschooling, my 4-year-old comes out to the barn and chats with the veterinarian when he pulls in. What are you doing today? And why are
Mhm.
you doing that to that horse? And what about this? And she doesn't see age. She doesn't see anything. She just sees, oh, I'm curious about that. That's cool. I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
And I think when you grow up with that, when you're an artist, you're an athlete, when you can grow up in an environment where your passions are supported, given the opportunities to be around professionals in your sport where you can spend quality time with them rather than being in school from this block to this block and then having extracurricular activity after and homework and sleep.
Mhm.
Um, I think it does make a huge difference on your mental state where you spend way more time with other adults, other professionals in your sport, other athletes in your sport that are at different ages, different stages, different like I think it allowed me a lot more freedom to be around horse people and horse training and all of this like really
Yeah.
quickly. I got the job because I could start at 6 o'clock in the morning and I could work till 9:30 cleaning stalls in that barn. And the lady said, man, you're amazing. Like when you finish school this spring, what do you want to do for the summer? Well, I want to do more stuff here. Okay, cool. Great. Get on that horse. I'll teach you how to start colts. That's how my
Yeah.
career started.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's so much comes down to environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh
the
my
more
God.
opportunities your kids have to go out and talk to other professionals, to be just in that space, to be
Hmm.
around the goings on of regular everyday adult life, I think they rise to that. They don't have to be 12 or 8 or 14 in that particular slotted age group. They'll travel mentally back and forth between all of these different because I'm interested in this. So I'm sitting here talking with this guy that's a famous coach and I didn't really notice except we were having a really cool conversation about the sport. And how cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. This hour has blown by, my friend.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's amazing. But I do want to know what, like, have we left anything out, do you think? Like, what is something that maybe you would want to tell yourself back in the day that we haven't covered?
Hang on just a second. I lost your sound.
Oh, can you?
There we go. Now you're back. Weird. So
Weird.
strange. Yeah, like all of a sudden it just cut out. Now I can hear you fine again.
Yeah, same on your end. Every once in a while, all of a sudden there'll be like
Yeah,
a little bit of
sorry.
a sentence. That's okay. No, I said, what's something that we have maybe left out that you think is important for us to talk about? One last thing.
Oh boy. I don't know.
Hmm?
Um, all these things just come organic to me. Probably when I'm finished, I'll think of 100 other things that I should have said instead of the things I did say. You know, um, I don't, I think we covered a lot of stuff, and I think it's all good
Yeah,
stuff. It's all just real life stuff,
yeah,
and probably, probably is like, it's also okay to put an honest effort into something and then say, you know what, I don't know if this sport is for me, or I don't know if this level is for me. Like everyone
mhm,
self-selects. That's
yeah.
something we haven't talked about. Like I see that in horses all the time. I cannot ride that horse into being an athlete if it's not going to be.
Ooh, yeah,
And so sometimes it's okay to say, hey, Evan mentioned Evan earlier, like he caddies for the
yeah,
one of the fancy private golf courses here, but he played college baseball. He's a pitcher. I mean, he has a piece of rebar in his yard with a little bit of white paint on the top of it, and it's pounded in the ground about 100 yards out. And he dings it with a baseball still like 10 or 15 times in a row. Like this guy's really talented. He said,
yeah,
I quit college ball because it just like I got to a certain his younger brother's gone on, kept going past him. He said, I just got to a certain level and I just didn't have it in me to want to keep it. Like he says, I just got to a certain level and it was good enough for me. And he said, I started playing golf and then I got a job at a golf course. And he says, now I'm here like professional caddy at 24 years old. Like
yeah,
it's also okay to say mentally, I'm really cool. I really like, but honestly, this is as far as I need to go. Like maybe that's something that we didn't touch on, but it is
yeah.
okay to say, I want to go after something else. It's not okay to sit down and go, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to practice. That's different. That's a
Yes.
lot different.
Yeah.
But to say, I have done it, I've pushed, I've gone, I really honestly can look you in the eye and say, I have done the absolute best I can. And it's okay to tap out.
Yeah, yeah, this is interesting. I love that actually that you're talking about this. It came up in a session literally yesterday with one of my
Okay.
athletes, where he was like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it doesn't matter what the decision is. I'm going to support you either way, but let's talk about this. Number one, we never quit on a bad day
Sure. Absolutely. Yep.
because then, it's your emotions making the decision, not actually you, right? And
100%.
yeah, and then what we did is we walked through. I was like, okay, like let's talk about all the things that you have actually learned and gleaned from this sport. Get a pen and
100%.
paper, let's write it down. Okay, discipline, commitment, grit, confidence, like da da da, da, like all of these things. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
like, so do those things go away if you don't play the sport anymore? Well, no. Okay,
No.
so then, if you decide to walk away from this sport, it wasn't worthless. It wasn't for nothing. You didn't waste your time. Look at all of these things
Yeah.
that you're taking with you.
Yeah.
Did you do your best? Like all, right? And it was just being able to
Yeah.
like actually sit down with him and actually talk it through. And
Yeah.
because now he will be confident in whatever choice he's made that he's actually put emotions aside and fully thought it through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like if you can sit down with your coach and look him in the eye and have this conversation over a week and say, hey, like I want to get better. I want to make it as good as anybody, but I just this is great. That's great. That's great. That's great.
yeah,
I need to make sacrifice a lot. You sacrifice family,
yeah,
you
you do.
sacrifice time, you sacrifice a lot of things. We've said it. You don't know how far you're going to go in life. Like, where's the end? How far do you want to go? Are you going to get to the end and say, man, I should have just gone to the lake more often and had a boat and hung out with my friend? Like, it's
Yes,
okay. It's
yeah,
okay. Not everyone needs to be a pro athlete. Not everyone needs to be a horse trainer. This girl lasted 2.5 weeks and she bailed. She picked up her motor home and off she went with her horse and her motor home and her truck and a couple of her girlfriends. I don't care. When she came to me and said, it's just, I don't know. I wish you the best success in everything that you do in your life. Take all of the positives that you've had here. If you ever get in a bind and you need something, I'll help you out anytime. If you need to come back, if you change your mind, if you're not burning a bridge here unless you go
Yeah.
out and stomp your feet and have a temper tantrum. But if you honestly can look at your coach and say, or look at your parents and say, I want to be successful at something. I don't know if this is the thing. And you and I can both be fair and say, I've put the effort in.
Yeah.
I've showed up. I've done it. And
Yeah.
that's where, like with horses, I phone the customers all the time and say, like, I'd have to crucify on this horse to make it better, to make it more competitive than it is today. And that's not fair to this animal, but it can be very cool for some other lady to ride. Someone's going to buy it and say, this is the best horse I've ever owned. I love this horse. It's so well trained. I've never owned a horse this cool. And it can go from being quote unquote a failure in the reining to being a massive success in something else for someone else and be
Yeah.
super awesome. No one's ever going to say, too bad it didn't become a reiner. They're going to
Yeah.
say, wow, that's such a cool horse. Like, nobody's ever going to say, man, too bad you didn't stick with it. They're going to say, man, you know what? You started a business after that with all your go and your drive and discipline and mentality, and you started some business and look at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, there's a really cool statistic that I read the other day about
Okay.
just that. And it is that 90% of female CEOs or entrepreneurs played sports in their youth.
That's crazy, but it doesn't surprise me at all. It
Exactly,
doesn't
right?
surprise me at all.
Yeah, and
No.
it's because all of those skills are transferable, and that doesn't
Yes.
mean, and also only 3% of athletes actually go on to be pro, right?
So
And so,
that's an interesting statistic too, because we say 97.3 or so percent. So you're at 2.7%
yeah,
of really well-bred reining specific horses don't make perennially good reining horses.
okay,
So it's
yeah,
almost the same number. Like you could
yes,
say only 3% of really, really well-bred reining horses, like 3% of them go on to be what you see on
yeah,
Yellowstone or at The Last Cowboy or on TV, or if you watch that sport at all. But
yeah,
like 3% of the thousands of young horses that are bred and raised and trained specifically for that sport
yeah,
actually go on to make it to that like recognizable horse name,
yeah,
and I don't
yeah,
know like the horse racing statistics. I only know for my sport, but I would
yeah,
bet you it's very similar. That
yeah.
3%.
Yeah, and it just like puts things into perspective too about how useful all of these skills are transferably and exactly what you said. Just because, it's not in the top 3% in this area doesn't mean that it isn't going to do well in all of the other areas that are available.
It's
Yeah.
the top horse for that nice lady that came here and
Yes.
tried it and bought it. It's like
Yeah.
it's the pinnacle of her life, and it has a
Yes.
great life. I always say those horses don't want to put trophies on your counter for you.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to win a reining to satisfy themselves. You're trying to convince them to win the reining because you'd like to satisfy yourself. And I think that's back to the parents.
Yeah.
But that horse doesn't get up every morning and say, man, we have to win a trophy buckle. That horse doesn't get up every morning and say, man, we have to win the reining next week. They don't care. If you feed them and you treat them well and they're healthy, they don't care about anything else. And so that's
Yeah.
if that horse goes on to have a career doing something else, or if it goes on to live in the backyard at some lady's place, it'll be the happiest horse in the world.
Totally.
So maybe that's maybe the one thing that we didn't talk about is like how do you tap out with grace? How do you say,
Mhm.
man? And that's like you said, it's not, oh, I had a bad day and I don't know if I can come back tomorrow. No, that's weak-minded shit. Like
Yeah.
that's you got to work on that. But if
Yeah.
you perennially come back to the same level and say, aside from trashing my body and ending up with surgery as a young person, trying to force myself to be something that I maybe can't be, I could be very successful at something else, or I could really have a great quality of life being whatever over here with all of these skills that I've learned. I'm very grateful for the time that I spent. The sport has made such a difference in my life, and I can't wait to do something else. That's that's also owning your space. That's the same looking
Yeah.
somebody straight in the eye and owning what it is, the same as saying, I can play this much, or I can do that much, or I need more help with this. And it's okay to be vulnerable and say, this is who I am.
Hmm.
It's that same kind of owning that space.
Yeah, totally. Oh, okay. This has been amazing. Jim, I want to thank you again for taking time with me today.
Of
And
course.
yeah, and just also for being the person who did stick with it and had that grit and mental toughness and who didn't just keep it to yourself. You are continually putting it out there so that other people can learn from you and you're leading by example. And that's, that's really important, I think, in a world where there's a lot of people in the spotlight who don't necessarily deserve to be there because of how they
Sure.
live, and you're somebody who young people can look up to. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, and thanks for having me on. I mean, I yeah, I mean, like we said from the beginning, I would love to be that kind of person who I wish I had every day in my life 15 or 20 years ago and said like, hey, trust me, you keep going, you're gonna be fine. Like, don't take yourself too seriously. You'll
Yeah.
be okay, man. You just keep doing what you're doing. You're not gonna shortcut time. You're gonna be fine. And there are a few gentlemen who have passed on in those 20 years, older guys that I
Mhm.
look up to amazing. And I said the other day to my daughter, I said, if I have, it's not really a regret, but if I have one regret, I wish that Wayne Hill was still around because the amount of days he owned my facility back when I was on Camp River Road there in
Yeah.
Chilliwack. And the amount of days that Wayne would come out and say, hey, Jim, like, you need another coffee? Because like you're gonna be fine, man. Like you'll be okay. You just keep doing what you're doing. People always like that consistency. So you keep training the way you are and you're gonna be all right. And he
Mhm.
passed on, oh man, probably half a dozen years ago or more now. And
Yeah.
I still think about that, sitting here in Scottsdale. I wish I could phone that guy and say, you know what, dude, you're right. Like I made it.
Yeah.
I made it. And that's yeah, that's special.
Yeah, that is special. Okay, everybody. Thank you for listening. And until next time, train your mind, build your grit, and forge your legacy.
You've been listening to Forged Youth. New episodes drop every week, so if this hits home for you, throw us a follow and subscribe. Forged Youth, where resilience is trained.